Hello and welcome to Maps and Coffee Podcast. I'm Annalisa.
And I'm Joan. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Maps and Coffee Podcast. Our Twitter is Maps Coffee Pod. The Instagram is Maps and Coffee Podcast. And now we have a YouTube channel, and it's Maps and Coffee Podcast.
And on that social media, you can see a picture of my Christmas gift that Joan gave me, and it is a pillow that looks like Lebowski, my dog, and it's super cute, and you can see Lebowski in the picture too, so definitely go check that out. Our Instagram again is Maps and Coffee Podcast.
Yeah, on that one picture of Lebowski, he does not look enthused. He's like, what is that? But that's just how he is in general. He's a weird dog.
Yeah, he's a little bit shy sometimes.
I think we even say he's a cat, and one of the cats is a dog, and it's strange how that worked out. But I just thought that pillow was adorable. I'm glad that you're enjoying it.
Yes. We are having a good weekend. For me, it's a 3-day weekend because of President's Day, and then I'll be able to get that podcast ready for Tuesday. So I guess when you're listening to this, I hope you had a good, hopefully 3-day weekend.
Yeah, I don't get a 3-day weekend. I work in healthcare, so I will be getting up bright and early for work tomorrow. Not looking forward to it, but Ayo, money's money. Gotta do that. Other than that, we can talk about the weekend. We did a little bit of thrift shopping. I needed something to put actually my coffee in. I got like a little ceramic thing. I'm getting a spoon for that tomorrow.
Oh yeah, and you can see a picture of that on the Instagram as well.
Is that on the Instagram?
It will be when they listen to it.
It will be when I get around to doing that shit. So that'll be on there. What else did I get? I got this cute little teapot. It's like adorable, and the bottom, I don't think I showed you this, actually says Japan on the bottom.
Oh wow, so it's like from Japan.
Yeah, I noticed it this today. I was like cleaning it off because it had that Goodwill sticker, you know, when they put it in the worst places to put a Goodwill sticker. We did that. We went and did some grocery shopping, mostly was the whole plan.
That's super cool. I really loved that teapot that you found. And yeah, maybe, you know, we're both coffee drinkers, but maybe we'll have to drink a little bit more tea with the teapot.
I've already tried to figure out if I can turn the teapot into like a coffee pot, because the thing with this teapot is it has a strainer in between like the holding part and the spout. So clearly you're supposed to put like loose leaf tea in there and then like make the tea in the pot and then pour it out, not just do hot water with like a tea bag. So I'm already trying to figure out how I can do it with coffee, but we talked about it and the grounds are probably too small. It'll totally go through that strainer, but it's adorable. I love it. Okay, so this week is my turn on our one city per episode thing. This was so nice. I actually I spent a lot of time on this. So we are sticking to Indiana.
All right.
Have you ever heard of Vevey, Indiana?
I have not. Where is it in Indiana?
Okay, so it is in Jefferson Township, which is in Switzerland County in Indiana along the Ohio River. Now, the way that you spell it, I was doing this part at work. I was doing a little research while I was at work, and I was talking to my coworker, and I was showing her like this place that I had just picked, and I was saying Vevey because it's spelled Vevay. And then she was looking at it, like she leaned over and looked at like the Wikipedia page I was on. And she was like, this says you pronounce it Vevey. And I was like, wait, what? Like, I didn't even think to look at the phonetic spelling because you're like, oh, I can pronounce that word. But it is Vevay, but it's pronounced Vevey because it's Swiss. Like it's a Switzerland county. So that's just how they pronounce it. So it is the county seat of Switzerland County. The population as of the 2010 census was 1,683.
How have I lived in Indiana for, I don't know, 22 years, 24 years, and not realized that Switzerland County even existed? It sounds fascinating.
And it honestly is. Like, I was looking just at Switzerland County as a whole. Shit's wild. It's like they lean heavy on Swiss culture. It's just one of those places, and this is one of those towns that sort of does that, which I just thought was awesome. So the first settlers arrived in 1802, and they were Swiss immigrants, intending on cultivating grapes and producing wine. Ooh. It was named after the Swiss town of, I'm going to butcher this because you got to say it like with the Vevey, like Vevey. Now, the Swiss town is spelled Vevey. And this town is Vevay. So over there it's pronounced Vevey. And here it's Vevey. So there you go. Now, in 1796, John James Dufour, a native of Switzerland, explored the country along the Ohio River between Cincinnati and Louisville, seeking a suitable location for the future homes of himself, his son, 4 brothers, 3 sisters, and some of their associates who wanted to come to America, and they wanted to introduce vineyards to the area. They were looking to make wine like they did over in Switzerland. So he finally located between Indiana and Plum Creeks, finally located the spot that they wanted to go. Under a special act of Congress, about 3,000 acres of land at $2 per acre with interest on a credit of 12 years. The extended credit being given for the purpose of encouraging the cultivation of and making of domestic wine. So this is what we mean by generational wealth. When you are able to buy all of that land with like 20 other people, pay it off in 12 years, and now your family owns it forever from the government. Of land that wasn't even really the government's to sell, but ayo! We're going to get into... Okay, so... They began arriving at their destination, which was originally called New Switzerland, is what they called the settlement, in 1803. And by 1809, they had built log houses, cleared the land, planted orchards and vineyards, and commenced making considerable quantities of wine, which in the market was always known as Vevey wine. Vevey has a reputation as being home of the first commercial winery in the United States. When Switzerland County was formed in 1814, that was when Vevey became the county seat.
Well, that's impressive.
Right. So it's like, first winery in the United States was in Indiana. Probably not what a lot of people would think.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't even think about Midwest wine at all when they think about wines. So that's kind of interesting.
But I mean, it makes sense. I mean, California and everything over on that other side wasn't really as heavily explored at all at that time. So yeah, I guess they just found a place that they were like, this is okay for now, and they made it work. So again, they're big on wine. They have the Swiss Wine Festival, which we have to go to, okay?
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Have to go to. So it holds an annual celebration. It is usually held on the last weekend in August, as well as the preceding Thursday and Friday. The festival has activities such as ferry rides on the Ohio River, which I just think that would be fun in and of itself. Amusement rides, pageants, car shows, musical performances, cheerleading competitions, and the famed grape stomps.
Oh, so like I Love Lucy style,
Yeah.
people stomping on grapes.
That was exactly what I thought of. I used to watch I Love Lucy at my grandma's house. She had like whole seasons on VHS tape. Who remembers those? And we would I'd stay up until like 3 a.m. watching that when I was like 8 years old. I don't know who does that, but
That's hilarious.
I feel like everyone has odd memories of watching I Love Lucy.
Or just like old shows in general, because, Nickelodeon would turn into Nick at Night. So, I mean, I would watch old shows like I Love Lucy and Laverne and Shirley.
Right.
Just a ton of stuff.
Nick at Night was always weird because I would watch like Happy Days. Like,
I loved Happy Days. We talked about this.
I did love that show too. Yeah, there were just some oh my god, all these memories are flooding back. Like all these bizarre things are coming back to the front of my mind, and I'm just like, no. Now there's someone out there we're calling Happy Days old, and they're probably like, stabbed to the heart. Yeah. But that's okay. We're getting up there too. I mean, I just turned 29. Ayo. So they have the grape stomps and beer and wine gardens. Now, about the grape stomping, because yes, I was intrigued by that. They have the Swiss Wine Festival Midwest Championship in Vevey, Indiana. So grape stomping isn't just like it's a hobby, but they turn it into like an actual competition.
Cool.
The winning team from each stomp received an official t-shirt. Each team consists of one stamper and one swabby. Is the name of the person that like catches all the stuff, like gets all the juice. It's called a swabby. The stamper stands in the barrel and flattens the grapes. The swabby stands below the barrel and catches all the juice. All participants, I loved this. All the participants, after they're done, become members of the Order of the Purple Foot. The adult team wins $200 and the kids team wins $50. So all of this information came from their 2019 competition. I could not find anything on 2020. I'm under the assumption it was canceled.
Yeah, I would assume that it's canceled. The real question is whether it will come back this year, if we'll be out of this pandemic by then.
And I looked for that and I didn't find anything, so I'm not sure, but all of this information was from again, the 2019 competition. So oh my god, imagine if we participated. I wonder if you have to train for that. Like you just do a bunch of like bear crawls or something. Like I wonder if people train. But anywho, so also for the Swiss Wine Festival, people set up booths for shopping. It sort of just sounds like our 4-H fairs. Like I know that you're familiar with those, or like your county fair, sort of like that. On Saturday night, most gather on the docks and close to the river to watch a fireworks show. People from all over Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio come to enjoy the festive celebrations. The festival was first celebrated in the 1970s and soon became the most adored tradition for the locals. Since 1797, approximately every 22 years, La Fête des Vignerons, the wine growers festival, is celebrated in the Swiss city of Vevey. So that's sort of where they got it from, was that they have the wine growers festival in Switzerland, and so they have the Swiss Wine Festival in Vevey.
Cool.
Based on Vevey. All right, so here are some other just interesting points of interest. They have the Life on the Ohio River History Museum, which reflects Vevey's and Switzerland County's heritage on the Ohio River. It is open year-round except for major holidays, and of course there are probably COVID hours, so double check. They have the Switzerland County Historical Museum, which is located on an old Presbyterian church built in 1860. Again, open year-round, but check COVID times. The first Switzerland County courthouse was built in 1822 and is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. It was replaced by the one that stands today in 1865, which was built by contractor John Haley. The Armstrong Tavern is a 2-story log house built in 1816 by Thomas Armstrong. They have the Hoosier Theater, which was built in 1837 and is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. This one I'm excited about. They have a Sleepy Hollow Festival on October 13th every year.
That's exciting.
Right? So we have to see if that's a thing. It sounded like it was just, it's like your Hallmark Halloween, it sounds like. Maybe not, it seemed like a little more Halloween, a little less fall. Because I know when we went up to Pennsylvania, I feel like that was more of a fall festival, not really a Halloween festival. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's a difference.
There's totally a difference. So this seems more like Halloween Hallmark, which I'm all about. Now, they also have 2 very important mansions there. They have the U.P. Schenck House, which was built in 1846 for Ulysses P. Schenck, a Swiss riverboat captain who owned a fleet of flat-bottom riverboats, and the Benjamin Franklin Schenck Mansion, which is a 35-room mansion built in 1874 by Benjamin Franklin Schenck, which was a bed and breakfast. He was the son of Ulysses P. Schenck. Now, if I'm talking about mansions, what do you think is happening right now?
Another classic Joan ghost story.
Ayo, kind of. Now, this is actually, I'm throwing you for a loop. Because, yes, people say that the mansions are haunted. Of course they do. But I'm going to throw you for a little bit of a loop. Do you know who Kat Von D is?
I used to like her in high school, but I think she's like problematic now, right?
She's super problematic. So I started getting into makeup, I want to say like oh, how long's it been? Like 5 years ago? Because in college, I did not. Oh my God, if you showed me an eyeliner pencil, I'd run away. Like, I hated it. But then I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn how to do this. And, started getting into like the Kat Von D's and the Jeffree Stars, basically all those YouTubers, because you can sit there and watch YouTube and learn. So although they did teach me a lot, they are both extremely problematic now. I don't buy their makeup anymore, but there's always drama surrounding the beauty community. Kat Von D now is known for being like an anti-vaxxer and thinks that she thinks LA has a tyrannical government. LA? Oh God, imagine if she lived over this way. Well, now she does. So, for those of you that don't know who Kat Von D is, let me back up a little bit, because I do know we have some international listeners out there. Kat Von D was known in like the early to mid 2000s as a tattoo artist. We had reality shows here in the States around weird different topics. So she was on Miami Inc. and she was on LA Inc. And for the episode, people would come in and get tattoo cover-ups or like get really meaningful tattoos, or they'd have really funny tattoos. And then in the background, they'd show drama that was going around the shop. So she started off on Miami Inc. Then she moved to LA and started her own TV show called LA Inc. And then she started getting into makeup, and then she had Kat Von D makeup brand, and that's how mostly I know her, is that area. But again, she got a little crazy.
Yeah, and she's like known for like her very high hair, like her hair that's all like teased up, and then like her winged eyeliner. So like she has a very like classic, or like a very recognizable style.
Like a very pin-up, but not really, like a weird
like
gothic
Amy Winehouse kind of.
Yeah, exactly like Amy Winehouse.
Okay, so what does this have to do with Vevey, Indiana?
She bought the Shank Mansion and she moved to Indiana, bro.
No, she did not.
Yeah, she did. I remember seeing it on my Facebook and someone was like, what the fuck is this? She bought the Benjamin Franklin Shank Museum.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I had no idea.
It took me forever to figure out which Shank Mansion she bought, because there's the Ulysses P. Shank one, and then there's the Benjamin Franklin Shank one.
Okay. She bought one of them.
She bought one of them. I think it might be the Ulysses P. Shank house, because I could not find anyone that clarified. But anyway, let me just tell a story. From here on, I'm just going to say the Shank Mansion, and then you'll know that it's one of them. So she purchased the Shank Mansion, an over 10,000 square foot house built in 1874, boasting 7 bedrooms and more than 6 bathrooms, perched on nearly 7 acres of Indiana land for $1.8 million.
What a bargain.
What a bargain.
Can't beat those real estate prices.
No, not at all. So again, the reason I thought that she had the Benjamin one was because it said that it was built, that the house she bought was built in 1874. Benjamin's house was built in 1874. But Benjamin's house is supposed to be 35 rooms. This one says 7, but I know there must have been some renovation. So I'm under the assumption it's the Benjamin one. But anywho, so this is a quote from Kat Von... What?
So there would be a difference between rooms and bedrooms. Mm-hmm. So it probably has 7 bedrooms, 6 baths, and 35 rooms.
That must be what it was. So she did buy the Benjamin one. Yep. All right. Thank you for clarifying. Because it was a bed and breakfast. Yeah. That works. Okay. So, this is a quote from Kat Von D when everyone asked, what the shit are you doing? She said, definitely not ever selling our beautiful home in LA, but with all that has been taking place in California, with terrible policies, tyrannical government overreach, ridiculous taxing, amongst so many more, corruption, we just felt the need to plant roots in a small town where there is nature, where my son can be free to play, and where we can eventually retire one day.
Interesting. I mean, I don't disagree with the idea that you'd want to get away from like higher taxes. Like I said, I mean, that does sound like a good, like, I can't afford $1.8 million mansion, but like it probably is. If you planted that in LA, it would be, $5 million. Yeah, $20 million. I don't know how much, but more than that.
Right. And I get like, she has a kid. I can only imagine how hard it is to raise a kid in LA. I mean, she's famous. She's got money. She's probably fine. But just having, like she said, that nature. Oh, here, let me show you a picture of the mansion. Then you'll sort of get a better idea of what she's talking about. Like, for a kid, imagine all that room to run and play. And there's no paparazzi. There's no, you know what I mean? It's just, I get that part of it. I don't get the government part. But
it's a beautiful brick building. It reminds me of a lot of buildings I've seen in Indiana, actually. Like, it has very, like, classic architecture that, like, it almost looks like it could be, you know, some town's town hall or like, you know, like a city hall.
Absolutely. And if anyone's going to have the money to do any restorations or clean it up a little bit, it's going to be someone that can afford it for $1.8 million. So, I mean, I get it to some extent. But yes, it did surprise everyone when it was announced on her Instagram that she had bought this mansion. And everyone was like, wait, what? So the Benjamin Franklin Schenck Mansion, here's a little more on it. It's an Italianate Second Empire style brick mansion. Full basement. The house is, again, 10,000 square feet, 4-story tower, widow watcher attic with 3 round dormer windows, 4 porches, 7 balconies, 8 chimneys, 13 fireplaces, 35 rooms, 7 bedrooms, there it is, 6 bathrooms, 2 half baths, because that matters. It also has 5 original copper-lined bathtubs encased in walnut, tin exterior trim, original slate roof, innkeeper's apartments, and obviously much more.
That sounds amazing.
It does. You need a map in your own house. It also has a veranda that overlooks a water garden, a patio, gazebo, fountains, waterfalls, and a small vineyard because it's Vevey, Indiana.
Oh, that's super cool. Your own personal vineyard.
Right. Now, it was last restored in the year 2000, and it is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. So now I do have a little story about the house.
In the meantime, I gotta get Lebowski off me. He's being extra needy tonight.
Every day?
Yeah. All trying to climb up on top of me.
Okay. So here's a little story about the house. Many families and individual merchants grew extremely wealthy because of the trade in the grapes and vineyards and the ports along the Ohio River to get it out to different people. One such early shipping magnate was Ulysses Schenck. So he was from Switzerland, moved to the U.S., became a farmer turned merchant who began sending hay down the Ohio River ports along the Mississippi River and beyond. He took advantage of the new railroading system and hay processing and cornered the hay market in Switzerland County because that was apparently a thing that they needed. He established the Cincinnati New Orleans Express Line Steamboat Company and shipped an enormous quantity of hay, so much so that he was locally named as the Hay King. I would hate that to be my nickname. Like, imagine you're like, oh yeah, I'm going down in history as the Hay King. That's so unfortunate. So, of course, he became wealthy. His son Benjamin inherited a lot of that. And in 1874, Benjamin began construction on his mansion that overlooked Vevey on the Northern Hill, which is the house that Kat Von D bought. It got the nickname House on the Hill. Which cool. Reminds me of like 80 million scary, spooky stuff like that. The total cost of construction for him at the time was $67,000. Could you imagine? So it's nestled halfway up a forested slope. It doesn't look like it, but that house is like on a hill. And now he died before the mansion was complete, but his children and widow lived in the home for a few years before they moved. The history isn't entirely complete, but it appears that the mansion sat mostly empty into the early decades of the 20th century before the family donated the home to the Indiana Baptist Convention in 1923. It was given back to the family in 1928. Sold to the Wiseman family in 1945, and for 20 years, the mansion was a home for the Wisemans and a clubhouse for the Switzerland County Saddle Club. In the later half of the 20th century, the property was sold a few more times before finally being bought and properly restored by Jerry and Lisa Fisher, who turned it into a B&B. So, cool. Good job, Fishers. Now the ghost. Benjamin Schenck Mansion is supposedly one of the most haunted places in Indiana, but isn't like every place supposedly one of the most haunted places in whatever state it's supposed to be in, right? Legend has it that the mansion was built on the ruins of an older structure that was lost in a fire that not only consumed it, but a couple that was trapped inside. Of course, there's no record of this. The guests apparently note the presence of 6 to 7 other guests, and single male visitors are often awoken at night by ghostly kisses.
Ooh.
Haven't we heard this before, too?
That's creepy, though.
Handsy ghosts. I guess if you hadn't gotten any in, like, centuries, you'd be like, you know what? It's... Oh, God. Y'all better hope I don't haunt anybody after I'm gone, because it's gonna get weird. Okay. So, stories of lights mysteriously flicker, unsourced sounds throughout the mansion are heard. One of the innkeepers at the time just said that there are things that just happen. Guests often complain about a rude Amish housekeeper who passes them on the stairs without acknowledgement. The Fishers, however, do not employ a maid, so they were the ones that had the B&B. Others report hearing voices, footsteps, and seeing a lady in white Victorian attire on the second floor. The Fishers acknowledge these spirits, but say they are harmless. And then in December of 2019, that's when Kat Von D bought the property.
Oh, so fairly recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not too long ago. So that is a little about Vevey, Indiana. Now, I did find a coffee shop.
Oh.
It's called the Kooky Coconut, all K's.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
There's a 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's the Kooky. I mean, that's what it is. No, there's 4 K's. 4 K's.
Okay.
Kooky has 2. Coconut has
still
2.
makes me nervous.
I'm just saying, for people trying to Google it, I want them to be able to Google it correctly. So, Kooky Coconut, no C's, all K's. I'd go there. I'm making it worse.
if they like you.
No, right. Oh, slow down there, buddy. Oh, God. Okay.
I just know the history of the area, like Southern Indiana, like a history of the KKK.
I know. You know where I'm from. I mean, Central Indiana, but it's fine.
I'm sure it's fine.
I'm sure it's fine, because this place seemed adorable. So, from what I gathered on Facebook, because they don't have like an official page, it was originally called the Lantern Coffee House. And based on, again, Facebook page information, I went into like a deep dive. In April of 2018, they closed down, and by June, they had announced on the Lantern Coffee House page, they started advertising for the Kooky Coconut. Oh, okay. So I think they went under like a rebranding or something. They're open currently during COVID, and they're hiring right now. When I was looking, so by the time this airs, it would have been 6 days ago, 5 or 6 days ago from the Tuesday that this airs. There was like a big "we're hiring" sign. So, ayo, go there and get a job.
All right. Well, maybe you like want to not even visit, like you just want to move to this place. So there you go.
In one of Kat Von D's extra rooms. They have giant taco salads. Tons of chili and soup, like homemade turkey chili, like white turkey chili. It looks so good. Chicken avocado wraps, which are like my favorite thing to make all the time. They had like these Oreo balls that looked so good. And they have a ton of organic coffee options. Now, they also have like these giant pies. You can buy like a whole ass pie. Can you tell I'm getting really excited? They have a whole ass pie that you can buy. Now, I saw pictures of these crazy coffee drinks, like sort of like a bunch of Starbucks frappes all lined up, but I could not find a menu. So I wonder if it's one of those you go in and you just sort of make your own, like they tell you what sort of ingredients they have and they go to town, but they looked so intense and they were huge. So they do have coffee there, but they have all this other good food. The way I described it, it's like if me and you wanted to make fun frappes or frappuccinos and we would add like a whole pack of marshmallows on top, like make it look all crazy and cool, or like we made our own taco salad and it was like this giant portion that was like all fresh, but like they just do it very well is what it looks like. They also have healthy options. They had some acai bowls and fruit smoothies. And if you go there, then you are a part of the kooky family, which I thought was also cute. So yeah, that is all Vevey, Indiana. I found it because of Kat Von D, and now I want to go for wine and Sleepy Hollow Fest and stepping on grapes and shit.
It sounds fun. Yeah, I would definitely go.
It sounds super tiny, but like I said, there's tons of stuff to do there. And it's one of those small towns that has done very well in preserving its history. I mean, there's 1,500-ish people living there, and it's got like 5 places on the National Register of Historic Locations. Like, I'd say that's a feat. Those aren't cheap to keep up. So it's pretty admirable, at least for me, when I see like this long list of national locations and the town is like teensy tiny, because they have to put in that much more work. Like, I'm sure Cleveland has a ton, but Cleveland's gonna have the money for it. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Well, that's super cool though.
So yeah, that's mine. It's weird because usually I'm like, okay, your turn, but now we're all set, and Lebowski looks exhausted.
All right. Well, tune in next week for another town. This is Maps and Coffee Podcast.
I'm Joan.
And I'm Annalisa.
And don't forget, all you need for an adventure is a map.
And a cup of coffee.
I forgot what we were doing for a minute.
Maps and Coffee Podcast is hosted by Kelsey Joan Baker and Annalisa Richardson. Our social media pages are run by Laura Lorenz, and you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and our new YouTube page at Maps and Coffee Podcast. And we're on Twitter at Maps Coffee Pod. Email us at mapsandcoffeepodcast@gmail.com, and you can also find all of our episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and mapsandcoffee.podbean.com.